Welcome to the Explosive Strength Podcast with Jared Bidney. In this episode, I'm going to recap episode 36, going over some of the training methods that we discussed and just talk about some more weekly shit that happened at the gym. So anyway, here we go, episode 37. So last week we discussed the three main methods of muscular tension, which are the maximum effort method, the dynamic effort method, and the repeated effort method. So we're going to go just a little bit more in detail on those and the sub entities of those different methods so that people can kind of get more of a clear idea. So the max effort method is just basically maxing out one rep, creates neuromuscular coordination. All the motor units are firing at optimal discharge frequency to cause the greatest strength. And let's go over something real quick. There's been like research studies done. I'm gonna give like 5 workouts. Like if you were to do 66% of your max 3 days a week at 66%, if you were to do your one rep, if you were just max out once a week, so 1 week you just did 66% 3 days a week, if you follow that regimen, if you just maxed out once a week, or if you did 66% of your max twice a week and did 80% on the third workout, or if you did 66% twice a week, then 90% on the third workout. Then if you did 66% and your max on the third workout, or if you didn't work out but once a week and you just maxed out once per week, or if you did 66% of your max 3 days a week. The only program that did not get better was the 3 day a week 66% thing. So if you read a lot of text, usually about 80% or higher is the minimum strength requirement to get stronger. And I think I've spoke about that in several podcast episodes. So anyway, that's just trying to pertain to the maximum effort method. You have to lift heavy to get stronger. There's no such thing as lift lightweight multiple times to get stronger. Maybe for a beginner, they can get there. But you do have to load them in order to get them stronger. That's how you create freaks. These people want to lift these baby weights. They don't get anywhere. Well, how do you do that? Well, how do you do? You got to lift them. Oh, is there? I had someone there that, hey, Jared, is there a way to get buff without eating good? They said they ate cupcakes every time before they came here. I said, what the freak? So whatever. So with the maximum effort method, you can do cheating like I've spoke about times before. I allow kids' butts to come off the bench. That way they have physically done it. Mentally and physically they've done it. Now, once they get to a weight, so let's say if we take a kid from 250 to 315, everybody wants to bench 315, so let's go from 250 to 315. The butt's off the bench, maybe the ugliest bench you've ever seen in your life, but by their butt coming off the bench, it's actually helping them to develop an arch because they're learning how to place proper stress on their upper back when they bench. And as the butt's up, eventually it will kind of fall back down. But let's go from 250 to 315 with your butt on the bench. I'm off the bench. And so we get there. Now, physically and mentally, you've benched 315. So now let's go back and clean it up. And now let's do it with your butt on the bench. Maybe let's go to a competition or something else to help with their mind frame or change them mentally to where, okay, now this, or whatever. So that's a form of cheating method for maximum effort stuff. You know, you don't always, like I spoke about, you don't always have to be perfect. You know, if you spend so much time worrying about how perfect your freaking technique is, you'll never get stronger. But, you know, like you'll have a kid come here maybe for 1 month, you start teaching them their butt may be off the bench. And, you know, some kids can arch good to where their butt don't have to come off the bench, but sometimes it will, but just to get some of the cheating stuff done. Just like cheat curls. Everybody used to do cheat curls back in the day, swing the weight up. You do something, you kind of cheat at it, then come back and clean it up. You got to get there first sometimes for some people. It's almost like Louis talks about the future method. They do a reverse band. So physically and mentally you've done it. Now let's go back and clean it up, or let's try to get it done in a competition, or let's try to get it done more strict form manner. Okay. Or you could do heavy overload eccentrics, or like they do at Westside's overspeed eccentrics and forced reps. But we don't usually do a lot of forced reps here. We don't do any forced reps here mainly. So those are some max effort things. The repetition method, which most people are very familiar with because that's how you kind of grew up in high school or college or wherever you learned your strength conditioning from. You know, like the So I don't allow for people when they like we don't do the 4 steps. So like if you got to get a set of 5 on bench, if if you got to get to 5 or you got to get to 3 or whatever you have to get to, if you go to 5 and you actually fail at 3, we don't help out with the bar. We don't touch the bar at all. So yeah, I hate it when I see people when they're, if you watch people on Instagram or whatever kind of video, they're guiding them up with their fingers. Hey, I barely touched it. Well, don't touch it at all, because if you, like when the kids write their folders here, if that bar is touched by another person, that rep does not count. So they're going to write down in their folder 3 out of 5. So that instead of writing a 5, because they're supposed to get 5, they'll have to write a 3. That way I know exactly how their reps are laid out. So if they go 5, 3, 5, I know they didn't rest long between the first, second set and the third set. They rested longer. I had a kid this past week. He was resting 4.5 minutes. And I said, look, I'll bench with you. And I usually rest, or I have been resting this past 2 weeks, 6.5. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. Like they're wanting to do some of these things. Like if you want to do 3s and 5s, you're going to have to rest longer. You're going to have to try it yourself. Do a set of 5 at, let's go 87.5 or 90%. Do a set of 5, rest 2 minutes, try another set of 5. Then maybe rest 6 minutes and try that same set of 5 over. See what happens. You know, I'm trying to tell you and already know. So if you don't believe me, try it yourself. So they'll write down what they get. So we're not doing the 4 reps or whatever on that. So, but you'll see like a lot of people kind of growing up where they guide the bar out. You know, we don't do that here. I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but that shit pisses me off. Like you got these collegiate strength coaches spotting these kids from behind. We don't spot here on our freaking squats either. Either you get it or you don't. You set the freaking safety pins up high enough to where if you fall with the weight or you fall or you drop it off your back, or you can lean forward if you're sitting on a box, you can lean forward or you just drop. I don't care. You know, I'd rather the bar break than the person get hurt. So I buy a new bar. I can't buy a new person. So quit that. You know, that is freaking, I don't know. This helping to look, either they get it or they don't. Move on. So anyway, so I got off on that because you see that's like the bodybuilding. Like when you're in high school, you were probably doing maybe some nose breakers, and people were guiding the bar up to help you get extra reps to failure or reps past failure. Those are bodybuilding methods. You know, that's why we're not bodybuilding for our bench press. If they don't make it, they don't make it. So it's not a reps. It's not reps getting your reps. If you get a 3 out of 5, you get a 3 out of 5. You don't force 2 more reps out, because then that becomes bodybuilding once you got more reps into it. So you got supersets you can use for the repetition method. You have trisets. You have compound sets. You have pyramid schemes. All the stuff that you probably know about strength and conditioning. Like I said from the previous episode, episode 36, it all comes and stems from a lot of the bodybuilding methods, because the bodybuilders are more concerned how big the muscle is and not necessarily how strong the muscle is, you know, because they're getting more paid based off of their physique. So it's basically get the muscle big as possible. Just a big muscle is not necessarily a strong muscle, and a small muscle not necessarily a weak muscle. So, and that's why the maximum effort method creates greatest strength without increasing muscular size, where the repetition method may have a residual effect on strength to a degree, but you're also going to have almost equal amount of muscular growth. So if you're trying to get a kid, that's why like powerlifting has taught me a lot. You're trying to get these kids in athletics to get as strong relative to their body weight as humanly possible. I got that little 9-year-old girl I'd speak about sometimes. She's going to deadlift double body weight. She's going to bench hopefully 1.2 times her body weight. And bench, squat, deadlift, double, squat, maybe 1.5. It's pretty good. And so her little friend is in there with her. They deadlift this week, and her 11-year-old friend pulled 121 off the ground pretty quick, and we don't ever deadlift. It's just deadlift gets better by squatting, but deadlift will improve the squat, but the squat will improve the deadlift, but the deadlift necessarily won't improve the squat. So anyway, so you got your repetition method. So basically you got your maximum effort method. You got maximum effort, being strong as possible without hardly any size. You got your repetition method where you're trying to get a little bit bigger, and you got your dynamic effort method. Uh, so that like you can like use a load release for dynamic effort method, heavy light method, and static dynamic method. And again, with the dynamic effort method, is moving the lightest weight possible at fastest or getting the fastest attainable speeds with an implement. It can be throwing a baseball, um, like in shot put days. The greatest achievements with shot put were thrown with two of heavier shot followed by one of standard, and those were the greatest achievements in shot put years ago. I don't even know if track coaches even know how to teach heavy shot, standard shot, and if you did that over and over with your shot put, that would increase distance. You could also do I forgot the pattern, because we can't unload our bodies. Like sometimes when I'm doing dynamic effort method, we can't take any more weight off our body than what our body is, because our body is standard. So for us doing something, we may do like a heavy in our standard body. But with shot puts, baseballs, and implements that you can actually throw, you can go heavy, standard, and lighter. The lighter would help increase the rate of arm speed, and the heavier will increase the arm strength, where you use your implement or your whatever your baseball weight is or whatever your javelin throw is of the standard size to be more consistent, work on your accuracy. So heavy, standard, I forgot the pattern, how that goes, but those are some methods of the dynamic effort method. And again, the repetition method is designed to increase muscular size, but if you look at it in athletics, you want to get as strong as possible without gaining as much weight as possible, because you need to be able to move your body at that 2.1 times body weight squat in order to have your highest attainable running speeds. Just because you're strong don't mean you'll be fast. That's why you have to work on the dynamic effort method. You have to work on your rate of force development. Hey Jared, I can squat 2.3 times on my body weight, but I can't jump a 33-inch vertical. Well, it looks like you need to do some more. You need to work on your jumps a lot more. And most of the time when we work on our jumps, they're not multi-jumps. We're just not sitting there jumping up and down off of a box or over things, over hurdles. When you take your arms out of the movement, you actually increase a lot more leg strength. That's why I use dumbbells for our dumbbell jumps. We're not swinging the dumbbells. We're just going straight down, straight up as possible, trying to increase the sharpness in which we change our direction at the bottom. So the quicker change in direction, the higher impulse, so the higher you'll actually jump. And that's how we're using that. So we're not jumping on off and on boxes. I was explaining to someone the other day, you know, these kids, like at the beginning when I first started the gym, we would do box jumps all the time. Well, I would test the vertical would never go up, but the kids' box jump may go up 3 inches or sometimes 6 inches and no increase in the vertical jump. What would happen is they got better at getting on the box. They didn't get better at jumping, they just got better at getting on that box. Sometimes box jumps are more flexible. So learn how to get your feet up there, you learn how to pull your knees up to your chest, something a little quicker with your legs like that. You're getting your feet up on a higher box, but your actual vertical jump, as far as like if you're doing a volleyball approach, was not going up. As far as your straight up pure vertical, that was not going up. So I was like, geez, spend all this time increasing these box jumps and nothing ever happened. And people can criticize the jump mat all they want to. If I had Lasky and I had another kid, Hinderman, both Lasky jumped to 35 on the mat, jumped to 35 at his pro day on the Vertec. Hinderman, same thing, 34 here, 300-pound offensive lineman, jumped a 34 on the mat, 34-1, and I think Lasky actually jumped a 35-1, and they both jumped a 30. Well, Mike at 300 jumped to 34, Lasky jumped to 35. So their things were the exact same. And the National Strength Conditioning Association, I read a couple months ago, it said the jump mat and the Vertec are correlated. So, you know, you don't need those fancy things. Like I had a guy here yesterday or the day before. I don't have a Vertimax where you get the little bands and stuff you tie to you. If you look at the research over and over, and Hal Verkhoshansky, what I spoke about in episode 36, the famous track coach, he's actually the one that invented plyometrics or came out with plyometrics. He actually called it the shot method, because when you fall off a box onto the ground, then jump up, you kind of get this little shock in your body. So he created a shock method, which we kind of turned around and coined like plyometrics, and plyometrics is just speed jumping, but plyometrics is also a dynamic effort method. So you can use the jumps, but a lot of things would sometimes these jumps in the plyometrics, like we was using these box jumps years ago, we were just jumping and maybe using our jump height on the box, but we were not actually getting better because you still have to have standard testing. And the thing is, when you have cone drills, like I don't do agility drills here. I know sometimes I get criticized, oh, Jared, they need to work on their footwork. Well, the stronger they are relative to their body weight, if you got your mass going point A to point B, the stronger you are relative to your body weight, the easier it is to stop that moving mass and absorb the force and change the direction. So just like your dumbbell jumps, the stronger you get, the easier it is, and sharper you can change your direction. So, but you do have to work on them. Not saying that you don't, but if you just got stronger to a point, you'll be able to change direction, do all your agility stuff much better. But the problem with agility drills here in the US, and I've not really found it, I do work on the Pro Shuttle, but everything's laser timed. You have to have a timing system. You'll see some of these kids go through these drills. They'll run around the cones. Yeah, they may be running around the cones, but that's not like going doing a tricep press down with 20 pounds. You're doing something without doing anything. So you're basically just burning calories. There needs to be a means to test the speed at which they get through the drill so that they are mentally engaged in, oh shit, I got to do it like this. And if you notice that once I put these kids here and I put them like on the Pro Shuttle, I want them to go from 0 to 5 back to the center line before we work on the other half of the Pro Shuttle in 2.2 seconds on laser time. Not a stupid stopwatch where you can mess up all the time. Oh, I got to. No, you got to have something consistent. I'm not consistent. I'm not perfect. So that's why I set my laser system out there. That way they could see what hand they put on the ground, which when they move faster with. Sometimes if you put your right hand down and you go left and come back to the center, sometimes you're faster with your right hand out. Sometimes you're faster with your left hand out. All these kids are different, so they need to be tested and figured out. Oh, okay, this is what we got to do. So if you learn that, and sometimes you can teach a kid a drill. Well, that don't feel right. Well, shit, you're faster. I don't care what you feel like as long as you're faster. Because sometimes people look for comfort and things like that, and it's not all about comfort. Sometimes when you change your baseball swing, sometimes when you change your basketball shot, sometimes when you work on your golf swing, you may get worse before you get better. So don't worry about the comfort part. So let's get over there. And so basically the max effort method is high tension, low velocity, and the dynamic effort is high velocity, low muscular tension. That's why like I spoke about last week, you cannot get stronger doing freaking power cleans. The bar moves too fast. You can't get stronger by throwing that weight. You can only sharpen that skill. So the dynamic effort basically is sharpening the skill. If you got somebody who wants a speed bench, you're sharpening the bench skill and technique. Usually like the dynamic effort days used for bench and squat are used to work on your technique so that you can get better at that. Especially if you squat in a squat suit or if you squat in squat briefs, you got to be able to get through that stick. That suit's going to give out about mid-range or closer to the top. So the quicker you can create your force out of the bottom, it's just like getting through or kicking through or punching through a board in karate. The faster I can get my arm moving, the easier it's going to be to get to that board. So if I'm kind of slowing down as I'm coming through that board, I'm not going to get through it. And so if you don't have a box, that's okay. You can do pause squats. Go down, pause. I did safety squat bar for years. I would go down, pause, and explode back up. I didn't use a box. I didn't test my running speed, so I did test my vertical. My vertical went up, so that's all I cared about. So that's what I was using that for. Now if I did the safety bar pause squat, I go all the way down, pause, boom, accelerated right up, and I was fighting against the Tendo unit. Speaking of the Tendo unit, a lot of people probably have heard me talk about the RPE scale, rate of perceived exertion, how you freaking feel. I don't care how you feel. I had a kid come in the other day. He felt like crap. Jared, can I do something besides squat? No. I pulled my butt muscle. I don't care. Let's go warm up. I let him go, went and just sat back there and I said, freak, I got to go watch him. And so I said, how many reps you do with the bar? 2. Jared, my leg hurts. I said, let's do 8. All right. I was watching, okay, no scrimmage. He could squat. His leg may have been hurting, or his butt, something may have been hurting on his body somewhere. But we start with the bar. Okay, looks fine. All right, let's go 95 pounds. This kid was only going to squat 135, set to 5. All right, go down, go up. And he was getting deeper than he normally does. No problems. But his leg still hurt. Well, if it's not bothering you when you freaking squat, squat. I've done it several times where I've had some tweaks in my lower back. My legs were hurting, my knees were hurting, but they didn't hurt actually when I freaking did the movement, so I did the movement anyway. Now, there have been some times when it hurt to where when I couldn't do the movement, I couldn't do it. But if you watch the kid, he went there, then I told him to put on 115, let me see it before we get to our working set load. And he did, and we got all his sets of 5 done at 135, but and I know he didn't want to do it because I was so freaking pissed that I timed how long he was under that bar. He was under that bar 2 minutes. Who the freak does that? You stand under any bar for 2 minutes, you're going to be dying no matter what the weight is on there. But his second set took 2 minutes. His third set took 1 minute 32 seconds. And magically, the same number of reps on the fifth set, same weight, took 47 seconds. His fourth set took 47 seconds, with the second set took 2 minutes. That's just showing me he didn't want to do it, so I made him do it anyway. I used to monolift, so when he tried to rack the bar, I pulled it away from him because he was wanting to quit. You can't freaking quit. Sometimes you got to force a kid to get the reps. And I'm getting in that to get the freaking RPE scale. He wouldn't have done it. Rate of perceived exertion. I was reading something the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, that the RPE scale is full of crap. Like, they did a couple research studies that when the people come in, they felt like crap. Oh, I'm supposed to do like that kid. I was supposed to do a sets of 5 at 135. I think I'll just do 115 or something lighter than that. Or that feels like a 8 out of 10. I think I only have 2 more reps in the tank. No, they showed time and time ago, once they put a measuring device to the bar or they measured some type of other variable, is that the person actually felt worse than when they were actually performing. So it's not necessarily, they need to take their brain and remove it from the body and let the freaking body work. And you don't have to always be sore when you get to work. Like, oh, Jerry, my kid's not very sore. Gee, I'm not going to make people sore. I'm not coming here to kill them. I'm coming here to help them. If they get sore, so if they work Monday, they come in Wednesday doing the same thing. If they're too sore to get Wednesday done, what's the purpose of coming Wednesday if they're too damn sore? Sometimes we just may have to work the soreness out, and I do. So like if they're real sore, I'll work the soreness out. But we're kind of wasting a workout because we're spending more time getting the soreness out instead of getting better. So don't worry about judging or being sore as far as an improvement scale. Hey, look, I'm sore, I'm getting better. No, that's still old school, it's still bodybuilding. That high reps, 6 to 12 reps, will make you more sore. If you did 4 sets of 9 versus 4 sets of 3, you're going to be the weight could be heavier at 4 sets of 3 by 15 to 20% heavier, and you're going to be more sore with the 36 reps than you will be the 12 reps. That's bodybuilding, protein degradation, break down the muscular tissue. The whole point is trying to shut the muscle down. So, and speaking of the repetition method, it's, do I have it over here on this? Yeah, it's sometimes, if you're going to do 4 sets of 8 on your triceps, or if you're going to do 4 sets of 5 or whatever you do, with the repetition method, you need to shut the freaking muscle down. So like the other day, I only planned on doing 4 sets of triceps. So it took 5 before the muscle quit working to get to my designated number of reps. So if you want to do sets of 10, all right, your first set, you did 10. Second set, you did 10. Third set, you barely got 10. And on your fourth set, make sure the weight's right, because that's why they have a rep range, because you don't have to actually hit freaking 10. You go all out. Maybe that last rep's 12, or that last rep maybe 8. You go to muscular failure. And so think like that. Just don't think. I had a girl in here the other day, just went and freaking did her triceps. Looked like she was moving a freaking pool noodle around. I was pissed. I said, well, I'm working my triceps. I said, you ain't freaking working your triceps. You may be walking your triceps like you're walking a freaking dog in the dog park, but you ain't doing anything, you're basically wasting your freaking time. So I was kind of aggravated at that. So I still don't know. The max effort method makes you stronger. The dynamic effort makes you quicker. So the strength compared with speed equals a lot of power. And the repetition method, the bodybuilding stuff, where you're trying to create some muscular hypertrophy, is the glue that holds the dynamic effort method to the max effort method, and it eliminates a lot of injuries. So let's go on to the weekly shit. I still got some lot of stuff I want to cover. Hopefully I'll get through it, and if I don't, whatever. Uh, this aggravates me too. Like I said, we cheat and things like that as far as bench, butt coming up, and things like that. But I do not like it when kids change variables just to get the reps. Do the same thing over and over again. Like when we box squat, the box is consistent. It's always 12 inches with that blue foam pad on it, unless you're 6'1" or different. But if you're 6'1" or different, I may raise it to 13 inches with the same blue pad on it. Those two objects are not changing overnight. That's a metal box. It's going to be 12 or 13 inches. That blue foam pad is going to be the same freaking blue foam pad. But if you come in here with risers or Olympic shoes or weightlifting shoes with a heel on it, the next time you come in here with Converse on it, next time you squat with bare feet or your socks on or whatever, because I let people squat with their socks on for proprioception purposes in the feet. But you either squat barefooted all the time or wear the same freaking shoe all the time. This kid came in here and he was squatting in a certain pair of shoes. Well, he maxed with squatting on this certain pair of shoes, so a lot of his numbers in his programming to work up to get better is based off of that max number. Then he comes in and has some deadlift slippers on. I was like, what the freak? You can't change. Then sometimes squat with no shoes on. What's happening is it makes it easier. So like if you got a thicker shoe, you're actually making that box lower because your foot's a little higher off the ground. And when you have no shoes on, the box kind of raises up a little bit, so to speak, because you've taken some inches or centimeters or whatever off the bottom of your feet. So that changes your feet position according to the box, making the reps easier. So like if you were to squat with just a pair of Air Max on, 225, you take the Air Max off and you squat barefoot, 225 is going to be easier and you're going to move it faster. So that's changing a variable just to get reps. I had this kid, a lot of times we will pause bench. Pause first 3 reps, 4th and 5th rep, touch and go. I would rather you miss the reps so that I know how much tension you're under than you get the reps by changing a variable. If you're supposed to be pause benching, you're supposed to be pause benching every freaking rep, not the first 3 and say, screw it, I'm going to get these reps. It's not the reps that always make you stronger, it's the freaking tension. If he's at 3 reps, that's still perfect. We're at the brief maximal tension method. If it's 5 reps, we're still at the brief maximal tension method. We're still using a sub-method of the maximum effort method, creating and using max effort intensities. So don't worry about getting to 5. We've so freaking brainwashed about getting all our reps that it's killing me, is what it's doing. So quit changing variables, and I may see people on it squat in the same shoe or freaking squat barefooted. If you got Converse, squat Converse all the time. Keep that consistent so that you know where your numbers are going. If something's not working and you're changing your variables, you got more crap to figure out. How come it's not working? So Jared, I had to use a belt today. I said, no, you did not. A belt's gonna make it 5% easier. And so it's like, how is using that belt help me help you? Because you're getting your reps thinking, I'd rather you feel bad when you leave the gym because you missed a rep. Quit changing the variables, because every variable you change makes it much harder for me to figure out why something's not working, because you're trying to figure out something to make it work when you just need to be consistent with that. Let us talk about it so that you can get it done. And like I had a girl, same thing. Supposed to be keeping her butt down so I can figure out her numbers because they're getting ready for a competition. Butt comes up. Well, you're just freaking getting your reps. Quit getting your freaking reps. You got to, especially when we get these ready to these competitions, we got to know where we're going. Okay. So Saturday was all about variables, and my brain almost blew up because of that crap. So anyway, Sunday, kid comes to me, whatever. Work your triceps, work your forearms. Sometimes I hate sets and reps. And it's, all right, Jared, how many sets should I do? Well, how many sets is it going to take you to make your forearms feel like they're about to explode? I had a kid doing wrist curls the other day. He wants bigger forearms. How many sets should I do? Comes over. I just threw out some sets. Let's do 3 sets of 15. I don't really feel that. Do 4 sets of 15. Do 5 sets. I said, I don't care how many sets. You pick an exercise. If I want you to go, if you want your I'll give you a rep range. Hey, maybe you want to go over there and do sets of 10. Do sets of 10 until your forearms are about to explode. That's why on the dumbbell jumps, I may have explained on this last, I used to write how many sets and how many reps and try to volumize the jumps. But the kids, and I do this crap myself, so I know how much effort it takes in to go in to improve. Just like that kid, he may have been hurting the other day. He still got his reps. I did the same thing. I wouldn't have pushed him if I didn't experience it. I know what's going on, and I know how to fix it if it goes wrong because I've already screwed myself up enough to help someone else out. So this whole big thing is an experiment for me, myself, so that I can help someone else out. It's always about me trying to figure out how to help them. And that's how I've got a lot of kids better, because they're trying to freaking cheat stuff all the time. And so I figured out, how can I get the kid that does not know how to try without even knowing that he's trying. And so anyway, I used to do freaking sets and reps with dumbbell jumps, and I'm already done. It's been 5 minutes. How are you done? Well, it said to do 5. I think I used program 5 sets of 3. I did 5 sets of 3. It's been 5 minutes. Yeah, I did all 5 sets. Then that's when I started making them go over there and jump until they freaking broke their numbers, because they didn't break their numbers. They just did the sets and reps, so they were just concerned about getting the freaking sets and reps done again. It's not always about, you go over there and you beat your number. All right, if you want your freaking triceps to burn, you go over there and you shut them down. Like I did 5 sets. I was planning on doing 4. I know 3 is not enough for me. And depending on what your rest period, sometimes I'll have kids just for hypertrophy purposes do 8 sets of 8 with a 20-second rest break. It's not always about sets and reps. And I told this kid, I said, let's go work your hamstrings. Let's do some good mornings until your hamstrings fatigue. Went, did good mornings. Then he went and did heavy 45-degree back extensions. Then he did something else. And I said one thing and freaking killed it. Well, did other things. Then he couldn't do his squat workout later in the week because his hamstrings were so damn sore he couldn't move. He said, Jared, you're right. I told you. So that's another reason. Hopefully they listen to these things, these podcasts that I do, so that they understand it. It actually is frustrating. I have to write something down for them to get started, but I also tell them it's their job to finish it. So, and people think it's not always about the workouts. Hey, look, I should have brought it over here. We'll come in on a bench. They will come in, we'll bench. We may go to close grip incline, and sometimes we'll close grip incline and we'll superset it with tricep press downs. Or sometimes we'll just go regular grip incline, then we'll go tricep press downs. We'll do something for our lats and our upper back, and sometimes our biceps. Sometimes we'll do. You don't want to get bicep tendonitis from benching too much. And sometimes we'll usually work our forearms at the end. So if you want to come in bench, maybe do something incline, go to your triceps, your lats, your upper back, maybe some biceps and some forearms, then you're out of here. I can tell you to do that all day long. I can tell you to come in, you go bench, incline, triceps, lats, maybe some face pulls and some wrist curls. Do that all the time. Well, if you don't know which methods were in that workout, doing that routine is not going to really help you out, because you don't know how many sets and reps to bench. You don't know what to do for bench. You don't know how to warm up to bench to get your bench. So, like people want to say, hey, look, Jared, can I get a workout? The workout means nothing if you don't have the methods behind it. If you don't have your repeated effort method on your triceps, if you don't have the maximum effort method for your bench, you don't have the sub-max maybe for your incline, you're going nowhere, buddy. So, yeah, I'll print you out stuff all day long if you want to, but if you don't know how to use it, be like a shovel. Some people don't even know how to use a wrench. So basically, pick an exercise, and blow that one up and be done with it. I switch every 2 weeks or even every month. You got these people that say, hey, I'm gonna do tricep press downs a day with a straight bar. I'm gonna do rope overhead extensions next time. Next time I'm gonna do rope tricep press downs. Next time I'm gonna do nose breakers. You're changing too often to get a result because you're too weak. So once you can do tricep press downs with 130 to 150, maybe you can come in and do 6 sets of 3 at 130 on tricep press downs. If your triceps are that strong, then you can switch more often. But if you're doing tricep press downs with 20 and 30 pounds, good luck. You need to stay there until you get stronger. What you do is you get stronger at your tricep press downs. You get stronger at your overhead extensions. You get stronger at your rope press downs. You get stronger at these various tricep exercises. You drive the strength up. You drive the strength up. You drive the strength up. You keep driving the freaking strength up. All these right here. So it may take you 3 weeks on press downs, or maybe a month on press downs, maybe a month on overhead extensions, or 6 weeks, or however weak you are to determine how long you're going to do that one. Drive that up. So if I can do press downs with 150, I don't have to come and do press downs all the time. Now I can switch mine per workout or every 2 workouts because I'm stronger than you. And if you're stronger than me, you can switch more often too. But if you're weaker, you probably need to stick with something for a little bit longer instead of switching too often. And I think that's where it gets confusing, is because a lot of these people are like, listen to Louis, winning. All those people are talking about, they've got in their head, they're like, winning is a 600-pound bencher. Louis dealing with these 800,000-pound benchers. They have to switch more often because they will maintain some type of residual effect from that gain strength in the exercise anyway, because they've done it for so many times over so many freaking years that strength's not going to go anywhere, and therefore they can change because they cannot afford to do the same thing over and over again and get an overuse injury. So whatever, it's about the methods. Pick a muscle sometimes and kill it. Don't over bother Jared with how many sets and how many reps I do. If I wrote 4 sets of 8 and you don't feel it at 4 sets of 8, do something till you feel it, because I can't get in there and do the exercise for you. All right, so that was Sunday. Monday, pec and elbow, pec muscle and elbow. All right, sometimes you got to increase your maximum effort. You got to increase your maximum strength. You have to increase your maximum strength. Your maximum strength will be your limiting factor sometimes. All right, so if you got a baseball player and they're trying to throw a baseball, sometimes if their elbow drops, it's going to lower the velocity of the ball. And so sometimes they have to keep their elbow high. Well, guess what's responsible for that arm stretched out? Your freaking pec. And your tricep initiates acceleration of the arm and overhead movements. Okay, so if your tricep initiates acceleration of the arm and overhead movements, don't you think you'd freaking strengthen your tricep, not do freaking baby exercises or whatever? So anyway, if you're trying to throw a baseball and your elbow drops and you're told to keep your elbow up, sometimes your elbow's dropping because your pec is stretched, and if your pec is weak, it's going to drop the elbow down to take stress off the pec so the pec does not get injured during that movement. And so therefore you need to strengthen the muscle so that it can handle the more force of the arm moving at a higher rate of speed. So if the muscle's weak, sometimes it will mess with a technique issue. So if you got someone, say, like a throw the ball fast, they probably have to get stronger. If they cannot do something technical like hold their elbow up after they've been told, that could be related to a muscular weakness, and so that's got to be addressed, because it's not a technical thing, that's a muscular thing. And so if they can't adjust to the technique immediately, you could have a muscular weakness issue that you're dealing with, and the only way to get better is to get stronger at that. So that's how you know if someone needs to get stronger at something, is if the technique that you tell them, if they can't do it. Sometimes if you tell a kid they do a technique, maybe with a basketball shot, because basketball don't weigh anything, they could change their technique with that. But sometimes in these high velocity, like shot put, baseball throws, tennis racket swings, and things like that, they're going to have to get strong in order to hold certain techniques. So that's that. And structural versus functional strength is basically myofibrillar and SARP versus sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Myofibular would be more of a functional strength where we increase the amount of myofibrils inside the muscle cell itself, versus a structural would be increasing the size of the structure, which would be your repetition method, or sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is increasing the fluid within the muscle cell itself. So not with the functional contractile units in it, but more filled with fluid. So that's basically structural, is basically your repetition method, and functional again is your maximum effort method, where we're actually increasing the contractile units and capability of the muscle within the same muscle cell, where versus sarcoplasmic or structural, we're increasing the structure, or like I gave last week, the example of the cable pulling two cars out. If your cable is big as your pinky and you go to pull a car out with that little bitty cable, that cable's got potential to snap. So sometimes you have to increase the fiber or the cable size so that when the force is applied, that the muscle tissue itself has enough size to hold the force that's about to be applied to go through it. So structural strength versus functional. Functional is not standing on a bushy ball or stupid ball or some kind of crap like that got started in the 1960s because someone wanted to do something crazy. And structural and functional strength is the amount of fibers that are recruited in order to produce a desired result. I don't know where the freaking functional thing went off. Fuzzy fitness, I guess. So whatever. Tuesday. Who comes in and does not beat the freaking numbers? And again, RPE scale does not accurately reveal the functional state. Oh, I feel good. I feel good. Well, if I want you to come in this day and do 4 sets of 3 on your freaking squat, and you come in and do 4 sets of 3 on your squat again, I'm expecting, we write down, some kids, not all, the top speed of each set. Last time you get a 5-1 on a tendo unit, and today you're getting a 4-6, who does not beat the freaking numbers? Just because it indicates, Jared, I feel good. Yeah. So you feel like you're doing better than what you are, but you're not, because the freaking tendo unit is telling me otherwise. And hence, that goes back to the RPE scale does not accurately reveal functional freaking state. And so it just aggravates me. Like, usually when I come in, I'm beating at least one number in my set somehow, some way. So I just wanted to throw that in. Who comes in does not beat their numbers? Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. So most of the time you can if you really try hard enough, or if you're thinking about the numbers before you get here that you know you're going to have to beat, then you got a better shot. High school kid last week said the most genius thing ever. So he just maxed, and so sometimes after a kid maxes here, their next workout's going to be like brutal until they get accustomed to it, to where we get over that ledge in order to start improving again. And I said, and this kid squat max went up like 60 pounds, so his weights that he was working with during his working sets was a lot different. And he goes, Jared, I just got to think about attacking the bar. I said, holy cow, I just got to think about attacking the bar. That's how I think. I got to get this weight down. That kid said, I got to think about it. And he's in high school. I thought it was the most genius thing ever, because a lot of these other kids are dreading doing it, making it harder than what it is. And that kid said, so I got to think about attacking the bar. And so I had to write that down because I thought it was genius. So if you go into a workout, if you're coming in here to bench, when I come in here to bench, I just don't lay down and bench. I go through like a routine. I have my feet set down. I do something over and over again, because I'm not changing my variables to where I know if something goes wrong, what it is, because I've eliminated a lot of other things out of the equation. I usually bench in the same style shirt. I usually wear a dry fit shirt. Always bench in a dry fit shirt. I don't come in here benching a sweatshirt one time. I don't come in here benching my shirt off. I don't come in here bench with a tank top on. The shoes, I wear the same shoes, so my feet's on the ground planted the same way all the time. I used to bench in a pair of Jordans all the time until I wore them out. I'd wear my whatever shoes I was wearing to the gym, I would wear those. When I went to bench, I'd put on the Jordans, and I'd bench with my Jordans on. And so I've got shoes that I keep at the gym, so if I'm going to do something, that I keep that consistent. That way my feet are off the ground at the same height. That way my shirt's on the bench, and I use the same bench. I don't freaking move around on benches. Um, and I have the bar rolled to where it says Eleco every time, so everything is rolled right. I make sure my chains, when I bench with chains, are on the bar a certain way, because I'm trying to eliminate any other variable that I can in order to figure out what's going on. So, this kid learned that the other day. Um, so, and then you got this other kid. Let's go Wednesday. Kid comes in, complains the weight is light. I'm like, damn it. So you got some kids that complain the weight's too heavy. You got some kids that complain the weight's too light. And so it's just, it's a constant thing, because you got some kids that want to get better yesterday, and you got some kids like, man, this is what it takes to get better. So you get a whole complex. Sometimes coming to the gym, if you're a parent or whatever, sometimes coming to the gym and watching these kids is better than watching TV, because it's freaking hysterical sometimes. Oh, okay. What do I have to do, and just does it? Not what do you have to do. You should be thinking, what can I do? Uh, Again, girls doing her triceps over there, and I said, go work your triceps. And so she went over there and did dips. She can't do a dip. I said 1 is better than 10 because of the stress level. Maybe do 5 sets of 1, 5 sets of 2. I can't do that. Oh, freak. Go get a band. Goes gets a freaking thick band, puts knees in it, and just bouncing up and down doing dips. With no muscular tension, you can't create strength without freaking creating great strain. And so then when I wanted her to strain, she didn't want to do it. So it's almost like I worked my triceps. No, you really did. You did a tricep exercise, which was absolute garbage, and didn't push it. If I want you to go over there and do sets of 8, I want you to do sets of 8, and I want you to fail at sets of 8. I don't want you to do 8, like, oh, I can just do 16. No, that means something's wrong. Put a freaking belt around your waist so you can hang some weight from it and fail at where I need you to fail, instead of just going over there and getting rep getters. And so I'm trying to talk to these kids, and sometimes I understand that sometimes they don't feel like doing it. Well, if you don't feel like doing it that day, at least if you do it, it's better than nothing. And on the days that you feel like pushing it, let's grind at it. But most of the time with a kid, they don't feel like doing it anyway. So you got to bounce off when you're going to have that person push harder or whatever or not. So you have to want to do it. One day, she had some chains on. I had her doing take the squat bar good morning with chain to try to take some stress off the lower back at the bottom. And one day I had her doing it with chain and 10-pound weights. Then the other day I started just doing it with the chain. I said, geez, just goes over there and does it. Does not push. You have to push that accessory work. Just like if you're coming here and doing tricep press downs. And research has showed people generally choose 40% of their max. And I did the same thing with some kids. They were doing 30 pounds and 40 pounds on tricep press downs, and they were maxing 90 to 100. I had this one kid, he was only working out at 70 pounds on press downs, and his max was 140. He was at 50 freaking percent. And so and I started trying to push up their tricep strength. A lot of people just come in, go to something. That's why I have some kids max on tricep press downs. Let's max on dips. Let's max on a tricep exercise so that we at least know that we're above 80%, the minimum requirement to get stronger within that muscle group. Even if you are using the repetition method will still yield some strength gain, but we need those triceps bigger to handle loads so that when we fire them, that they're not getting blown out because they don't have enough structural size strength to handle the force going through it. It's kind of like a sheath in electrical fields or whatever. So the greater the sheath is around the neurons in the muscle, the quicker the impulse and the nerve transmission will receive the signal. And so sometimes, like when I like Tiger Woods, he's done a lot of work to get his golf swing and golf down. I don't like what he's probably done in the past. Don't agree with that, but I do like him as a person. I don't know him. But I like the way that he's done and not stayed with the same thing over and over, changes swings. Once you ingrain a motor pattern into the body, you have a neural transmitter, neural put. So it's going through a myelin, or I think it's called myelin or whatever. It's the sheath that's covering the nerve for transmission of signal. So the more you do that repetitive action over and over and over again, the thicker that sheath gets around the nerve. So therefore, the faster the impulse can happen. And so, like, if you got a golf swing and you've trained that golf swing for 8 years, that's one strong pattern going through that nerve. And to override that's going to take a lot more repetitions in a lot of different directions to get from point A to point B. So you just can't sit there and expect change to happen immediately. You're going to have to work at it. So when you're pushing these exercises, push them. Once you get so strong or you get to a certain point, once you get your triceps, maybe 130 or wherever you are, then pick another one. Then you can rotate the exercises more often. But if you're weak at bench and you come here, you bench one time, then you go to floor press the next time, then you go to incline the next time, you're never going to get strong at anything because you're doing too many things to get strong. So whatever. Minimum effective dosage. Some can and some can't, meaning that I come in and I can improve my bench press, but I come in benching and doing tricep press downs. Increase my bench 50 pounds. My bench will still go up today just doing those two things because I know how hard I am trying. Sometimes when you have a kid like that person that was over there just doing half-ass work on their triceps, they have to do multiple tricep exercises in order to get some type of effect out of it because they don't even know how to push the freaking first one in the first place. But that one kid who pushed too hard on his hamstrings couldn't do anything. That's because he tried. So if they don't try, you got to give them more exercises. Sometimes the harder they try, the less exercises you have to give them. So if you're dealing with a group of kids, that's why some kids get away with doing less than others, or some kids are finished faster than others, because the kids that are finished faster usually don't have to do as much to get the same result. So some kids have to do more in order to get the same result because they did a half-ass effort on some of the things that they're doing to start with. So minimum effective dosage, you don't have to go in, again, like what I said earlier today, you don't have to go in and try to kill yourself to be sore. You go in, you work it, you go home, recover, and come back. So that was this week and the weekly shit. Hopefully I went over and did not get too sidetracked on notes as far as a recap of last week. Next week I think I'm going to go in with strength training youth kids because a lot of people still are stunning growth issue, so I want to cover that. I'm going to probably have a kicker on Jameson Vest this week as well. So anyway, please reach out to me. info@Explosive Mechanics is the email. Follow me on Twitter @ExplosiveMEC, Instagram @Explosive Mechanics. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.